So hi everyone, I'm with Stuart Rainbow, who's the Jim's Mowing regional franchisor for the Mornington Peninsula region. And what's the other region name?
And the Melbourne out northeast.
And currently you have around how many franchisees?
We're on the way to 60.
60 franchisees, which is great.
Almost,
Almost. So what I thought we would do, something a bit different, is an audio version, video version as well, about inside information about Jim's, we can call it, about Jim's Mowing. We get a lot of questions, which you would obviously get as a franchisor, and we thought we'd be best to try and address that as a video audio version as opposed to just doing the traditional PDF info pack, which becomes out of date very quickly, as you would know. So Stuart, can you just tell us about your background prior to Jim's?
Prior to Jim's, so I was actually running an outdoor skirmish or a laser skirmish where guys run around and shoot each other through the bush, that sort of thing. So I was doing that for about 11 and a bit years. We had multiple locations all throughout the state. And I did that for a long, long time. So that was great. That was my own business. And we started to actually license it out, which is similar to a franchise where people could invest and buy in and get a location. But it was great, yeah.
So how did you get involved in Jim's itself?
It's a great question. I knew a little bit about it. My beautiful wife, she actually, runs and looks after the call centre with her mum there, Beck and Jill. So I knew quite a bit about it. Just sort of when I finished up with the laser skirmish or laser strike, I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I was actually mowing out the back one day, and I'm a sucker for the smell of grass. I love the smell of cut grass. It's just something I have. And I was doing it. I used to do it for my neighbour. He was like 70 years old. I used to do it for free for him, just get it done. And I thought, you know what? I reckon I could do this. Just cruise around on the ride-on all day and get it done. So from that moment in, I thought, I'm going to look into this. I had no gardening experience whatsoever. In fact, we were actually paying people to do that job when we ran the skirmish, to run around and do the mowing and whippersnipping. And I thought, I'm not going to go back and work for someone. I enjoy working my own hours and, being the boss, if you will. So I thought I'm going to go and cut grass and, make other people happy. So that's how I sort of got into it and inquired. And I met at that stage with my franchisor, which was Gary. And he was fantastic. He basically held my hand, showed me everything I needed to know, taught me how to do the edges. I knew nothing about edges. That was freaking out how to do edges. He said, look, go and practice at home, speak to your family, speak to your friends. And went around to their places and did the practicing. And, from there I just, moved on and progressed and started to get the hang of it. Yeah, and that's how I fell into it.
So how many years were you as a franchisee? Because it's quite important. Obviously, you're a regional franchise, also you're responsible for building the business and selling franchises. But it's very important for people to know you actually were a franchisee. So you've been there, you've done that.
Yeah. So
how long were you were one, and how was that whole experience?
Yeah, I moved along probably pretty quickly. That was probably about a couple of years when I was a franchisee, and then moved on to the franchisor role. Just sort of almost fell into it, if you will. At that stage, our franchisor Gary was moving on, and he had a chat to me, and I thought, okay. This is an opportunity. The funny thing was, when I went to first start with Beck, I remember when I left the door, I said to Beck, I'm not going to become a franchisor. And here we are. So that's sort of how it progressed for me. And I was a working, full-time working franchisor at that stage. I just love it. I love helping people out. I love dealing with the day-to-day issues. I love the drama. So, it's never a dull moment. Yeah.
So let's talk about what actually a franchisor is, because people outside of the Jim's group might hear the term regional franchisor or franchisor and not know exactly what it is. Can you just explain what one actually is?
Yeah. So regional franchisor within the Jim's group, basically they have an area which they look after with the franchisees. So in that area, they'll actually look after all the local area marketing, obviously any issues that arise from franchisees. They'll actually, their role is to also coach and almost like mentor the franchisees as well. Basically help them grow their business. Any questions or queries at all, they're going to go to the franchisor first. The franchisor will also deal with any inquiries for people that want to look to invest into the business or become a franchisee. So we actually do quite a lot. Basically, we deal with complaints as well. Jim's, as we know, Jim's is very big on his complaints. So we deal with all those issues as well. So there's quite a lot that we actually have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. For me, I just never know what's going to happen. 8 o'clock will come in the morning, like this morning, and the phone starts ringing. I think, here we go. What's it going to bring? So it's great.
And the big thing for you, what you were saying before, was the training you got from Gary back in the day with helping you out. Obviously, there's training. There's obviously support. You run regular meetings.
Yep.
There's horticultural certificate opportunities they can do. So
Yep.
it's just so much as a role that you have where you can help them out, really become grow their business to be as big as they want and be as skilled as they want over time.
Yeah, absolutely. The horticulture is a great point, actually. And Dare's one of our fantastic trainers here. He looks after the horticulture course. These guys are doing now Cert 2 and 3. I think this year might only be $400 or $500 for them to do it, whereas opposed to it's costing normally a few grand, I think.
Yeah.
So you get these extra added benefits that the guys can actually join up to, and they'll actually, you're right, go and speak to your franchisor about that. And the meetings, you're right about the meetings. They organise regular on-site meetings with the guys as well, which is great. We have a bit of a combination on-site meetings, like as in probably, sometimes we have them here at National or whatever, and then you've got off-site meetings as well, which may happen at, various locations, different businesses. We've had them at, turf places, that sort of stuff, or Makita or any of these other, equipment places as well, which are really quite neat. And it's a great opportunity for the guys to obviously further their education with these meetings. But the major thing I think they really get out of it is the networking as well. I know there's other franchisors as well who actually do regular meetings in the morning. They might do just catch-ups with guys, which is a great idea as well. So.
Yeah, because I remember we did a lot of videos for your region with about franchisees about testimonials, and one of the main thing that did come back was the support. They loved having the ability to call yourself, or they could call another franchisee and their mates. It's their team. Yep. Even though they are individual businesses, if they ever got stuck on a quote or a job, or can you help me out, they had that ability, and that seems to be the one really top common theme that comes through, was the support from a franchisor and from the fellow franchisees.
Yeah, it's funny. It is. I love helping people out. There's no doubt about that. The other thing, which is great, you actually, when you speak to them so regularly, you're actually more or less touching base with them and finding out what they've done and, how's life in general. This morning, just speaking to a franchisee, he's telling me a bit about, his wife and the daughter, his young son, just at that age at the moment where, just going through night terrors and that sort of stuff. So I think it just goes a little bit deeper on times as well. And you're right about the mateship. It's just... it's great to have. Whereas you go out on your own, you don't get that. Do you know what I mean? You're out there on your own, and what do? You don't have anyone to talk to, really. So
that leads me into my other question here, which is why buy a franchise over doing it yourself? Obviously, we do a lot of advertising online, or there's comments with social posts, and it's the same thing. I just don't need gyms. Buy yourself a truck and blah 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 blah, and you can stop paying fees. That sort of stuff. So why should someone buy a Jim's Mowing franchise over trying to do it themselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, the help and support's one of the major things as well, and within the group. So, for instance, if your local franchisees, they're going to become some of your best and closest mates anyway. If they can't help you, your franchisor will help you. If your franchisor can't help you, we've got certain extra levels that we can go to make sure we find out the answer for you. So the help and support's a big thing. For me, it's a trusted brand as well. So when I bought in as a franchisee, Jim's Mowing is one of the most iconic brands in Australia. We were at the expo last year, and we're having people walk up and I say, "Oh, have you ever heard of Jim's Mowing?" Well, yeah, I'm not living under a rock. Everyone knows who Jim's Mowing is. The amount of work that we get, I think the Jim's Group in total is going for about 180,000 unserviced leads across all divisions. When people are desperate, they say, "Well, I'll just call Jim's, and we'll get it done." So the name is a big thing. We've got so much work. Obviously, we encourage the franchisees to go and get their own work as well, but so much work's coming through the call centre and online that, a lot of the work's already done. The other reason you're going to get to buy in as well, if you're selling a business or buying a turnkey operation, say you've got a mortgage or whatever, and you need to hit the ground running and earn serious money, you've got protection. So if you buy into the business and something goes wrong with the clients going ahead or not converting, you're going to get a refund on some of that money, or the clients don't go ahead. If you went and bought that off an independent and it doesn't eventuate, you've done your 40, 50K and the guy's just going to walk bye-bye. There's no protection. You've done your money. So I think the security with buying into a business and, making sure you're going to be looked after is another major benefit as well.
It's definitely a lower risk investment, as you said. The franchise, Jim's Mowing franchise in itself, in regards to the work's already there. You don't have to spend money on digital advertising. You don't have to risk, do it. You don't have to go and create all those letterbox drop materials, all that sort of stuff. It's all in place for your franchise, all can help you out. I think it's really important. And from a risk mitigation point of view, it makes sense. If you have a family and you do want to start in business, it can be very risky. So we do know of Jim's Mowing franchise, for example, the failure rate's very, very low.
Yep.
It's just a no-brainer option, in my opinion, compared to doing the independent route.
Correct. What we do isn't hard. If you follow the systems, it all works out in the end. And just on that, in terms of your online marketing stuff, when I was running the Skirmish, you had to pay for all that yourself. So you have to pay for your website,
yes,
or your SEO, which is your search engine optimization, for those who don't know it, or your AdWords, everything else. With gyms, I mean, we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, with all the regions invested in. I don't know what the total amount would be, but
it's a lot of money. Like the total group advertising spend, it's more than $6 million at least, and that's across all the divisions. Yeah, that's what the regional advertisers are using on radio, paper. They're using it online.
Yeah,
majority of the time, websites, all that sort of stuff. So, and it's great for us as a brand because not only Jim's Mowing will benefit from, let's say, Jim's Handyman doing advertising, or Jim's Mowing will benefit from Jim's Handyman doing advertising online for like a high brand authority. Everyone's just punching in Jim's more and more online. And
how can an independent compete with that?
You can't.
Like you need to buy the space, and we've seen it before. Just if I can just elaborate on that, Joe, we've seen it before. You see the independent start up, and they'll start up after say 3 or 4 months, and then they've had to spend all these money, tens of thousands of dollars on a brand new trailer, signage, brochures, everything, because all this costs money, and quite considerable money. Unless you've got buying power with gyms where you can, like we deal with Lod, you get buying discounts straight off, with them to buy your marketing material. But all of a sudden, you got all this debt on top of you. Now they're going and competing off these cheap and nasty, Facebook groups and that sort of stuff. You can't make money off $20 and $30 cuts. You just can't do it. And what will happen is as the bills start to add up, well, then you'll start to see the car and the trailer sitting at home more and more often. Then come by about, say, 5 or 6 months' time, it just comes too much. They've got letters from the banks, the phone's ringing, debtors, and they've got to go back and work for someone. It's just, that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, I think in business in general, everything's not, it's not sugarcoat. It's not always going to be like this, right? As you would know.
No.
It's always going to be an ups. There's going to be downs, ups and downs. How well can you get through that down period? And I think when you have the franchise, and for what we know what Jim's Mowing does in terms of all the support, the fellow franchisees there, that down period becomes a lot less than what it would be as an independent.
Yeah. Today, it's funny. We just got a new guy who started out in Heathmont, and I had another franchisee ring me this morning, and he's got a referral from one of his clients, and it's for a garden cleanup. It's going to take about a day and a half, and he's too busy. And he said, I need someone that can do it. Now, within the group, he's obviously given it to this new guy. He's going to go out and do it for him. You wouldn't get that, otherwise. And this is it's a big job. A day and a half, he's going to make some serious coin out of it. But that's probably another example within the group. Yeah. And there's a brand new guy, he's just met at the last meeting.
Yeah, exactly right. So what does someone receive for the initial investment? Because obviously online we started posting the actual prices from, because we always get asked that, how much?
Yeah, I've told Jim I think it's too cheap, the initial buying.
Okay.
Yeah. For just the territory on its own, it's too cheap. For what you can make out of it, yeah.
So what does someone receive for their initial investment?
So what they receive, so basically they... First, it's going to depend what business they're buying. So if they're buying in like a resale, that could involve the whole purchase of everything. So it could include the equipment, it could include the territory and everything else. Otherwise, it could just include the territory and clients, or they could be buying new and just starting the territory on their own. But basically, normally what it includes, and there's part of a startup pack within gyms you have to do. One's is once you're buying, you'll have to do a 6-day induction course with mowing, and you also need to purchase a safety pack as well, which is normally part of the costs, or an optional an extra on top. You get your territory. You start up with all your clients or whatever services you want to provide. Your leads. Some franchisors will also include uniforms and everything else. So it really depends on what sort of business you're buying and whether it's new with equipment or whatever it is. So they're all a little bit different. Yeah.
Now, so can someone finance this? So is there finance options available?
There is. Absolutely, there is. We have a couple of people. We've got one guy who, John Fife is his name. I've been referred on to him. I don't know if you've heard about him. And another company I've actually used is Jim's Finance, but I think they're only financing now up to 40K.
Okay.
So but there is obviously, and then there's other ways you can do. I've had a couple of young fellas where I've supported them and in terms of actually helping them out. They can.
Like a vendor finance option.
Correct.
Yeah.
Pay it off, and they've done really well.
Because we get that option quite a lot. We get that question quite a lot. Do you do finance? Do you do finance? So there is options for it if people aren't. They just need to inquire to learn more about it.
Normally we can try and work out something.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But if you've got bad credit or if you've got a criminal record,
you're
going to struggle.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Now, can someone do a trial day just to see what it's like?
Absolutely, they have to do that. Either 1 or 2 days. Definitely recommend it. It's a good opportunity for you to actually do the work and see if you like it. It's also a great opportunity to actually see if you're a good fit for us.
All right, so we touched on this before about the work and the leads, but everyone would, because the brand is so strong, you do see Jim's Mowing everywhere, and people thinking, well, how can I make any money? Surely there's not enough work, but there actually is, isn't there?
There's so much work. It's crazy. I mean, currently at the moment, we've got so much work going by the wayside. One of the biggest things you'll find, and I'm a big stats man, so normally when I go and meet with some people, I'm going to show you some stats, and I'll actually print out the stats from that day, and I'll show them the stats which are unserviced or leads going out of our region, that sort of stuff, which leads going out of our region basically means that other franchisees can actually take work from that region, which is great. And it's just phenomenal, the amount of unserviced work. So the problem we've got, and I'll be serious, the major problem we've got at Jim's Mowing in particular is we've got too much work and not enough franchisees. That's the major problem we've got. So there's...
And we have evidence for that as well, don't we? As you said, you print out your unserviced leads report, and I'd encourage anyone to think about any Jim's division is to get that before they even buy. It's just to see the actual proof that there is all this unserviced work there.
Yeah, we're talking about some serious amount of money that's just gone by the wayside. So it's not ideal, but for us, it's obviously there's room for more people. So if you're willing to work and we want you because we can't handle it.
Now, it's not just mowing lawns, obviously, because the name is Jim's Mowing. However, there's a lot more other services that the guys can do.
Yes.
So can you maybe tell us a little bit more about those?
There is. So whatever you can do, obviously pruning, you can do your mulching, you can do gutter cleaning, you can do poison and weed spraying, you can do garden cleanups, you can do rubbish removals, you can...
Landscaping, some people do.
Yeah. You can do landscaping.
Cross-divisional if you never wanted to as well.
Cross-divisional work, yeah, absolutely, which it's sort of just a new thing started up in probably the last sort of 12 to 18 months.
Yes.
So that means basically you can work cross-division. So maybe, for instance, you might want to do some cleaning work or if there's unserviced work in that.
But you never need to anyway at the moment because the unserviced work there within your service set is very high.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. So, yeah, that's basically whatever you can do, you can do. You'll find... you'll end up building a rapport with your clients and they'll end up trusting you and they'll say, listen, just go and do that. You'll say, listen, that hedge needs to be pruned. I'll say, I'll just go and do it. So no worries, that'll be an extra $200 or whatever it's going to do. Put it on the next invoice or debit or whatever you're going to do. And then they'll say, oh, listen, can you go and fix this gate? So if you can fix the gate, you can do that. Or whatever other work you can do, they'll say to you can do. Can you clean windows? Yeah, you can do that. Pressure wash the driveway? Yeah, I recommend everyone carry a pressure washer. It's an easy upsell. Just make sure you're covered for insurance.
Insurance, correct, yes. Public liability.
And obviously, if you stuff it up, it's going to come back on you. But whatever you can do, you can basically do. It's up to you. So I've even had clients ask me before, do you clean the house? I'm like, well, I'm Beckle verified. Like I'm a shocker for leaving my jocks on the floor. So I'm not going to clean the inside the house. But, anything else you can do, you can do.
Well, the reason why I asked that question is because there's obviously times of drought at the time in Australia a lot of the time, and people say, what do you do in drought? Because people just assume it's just, there's no lawns to mow, drought, stuffed.
Yeah.
Whereas there's always, as you were just saying before, there's so much other stuff outside of that which can be done to support a franchisee during a time of drought.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, do you guys, obviously you talked about it real quick about the 6-day training course.
Yes.
So as you said, you come from a completely novice background yourself. So how did you find the training itself plus the training or the support post doing the course?
Yeah, training program was fantastic. Run by a wonderful guy, a fantastic guy named Mike Davenport, who basically oversees everything in the training program. The first 3 days are generic business training, so you actually learn the ins and outs of running a business within the gyms group. What I like to say is gyms jargon. It's basically internal policies and procedures and everything else. But the last 3 days, in terms of mowing, they're mowing specific. So that's when we really get down to the nitty gritty within mowing. You'll learn everything from how to go quote. You'll quote on site here and over at Jim's place. You'll even have guys come in and show you how to pull apart mowers, servicing mowers, everything else. Learning how to, you'll even learn how to use the apps, that sort of stuff, the computer programs. They teach you everything. It's actually a pretty full-on training course. To be honest with you, I left there on the final day thinking, God, what did we learn on the first day? Because it's just so intense. So take plenty of notes, and it's just wonderful. It's a great way to network when you first start up. And in fact, it's funny, some of the guys that I actually met in training, I still talk to this day. We'll send random text messages back and forth to each other and that sort of stuff. So it's a great training course. It's really good. Just be prepared to put on a couple of extra kilos because the food is fantastic and they carb load to the max. So.
And then what about the actual training and support post you went from here from the 6 days? As you said, you went to that first day and you've gone, oh no, what do I, what was the training and support for you like for that first couple of weeks?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I had my franchisor Gary come out with me. I'd never done some of the garden cleanups before, and I basically wanted his opinion on where I should start or how to tackle them. And he coached me all the way through it, which was brilliant. And whenever I had an issue, I'd just call Gary. He was a working franchisee, so normally I'd ring him and he'd get back to me within a few hours, which is fine. He was just fantastic. The other thing, when I first started, I actually had other franchisees ringing me, and I thought, God, how do they ring me? I'm just under the pump here. I'm only doing 4 jobs a day. I was meticulous with my work and everything. I thought, these guys just have so much spare time. I don't know how they do it, but sure enough, you speak to them and they show you little tricks and how to improve, and how to get quicker. And before I knew it, I was ringing the next new bloke just to check in, see how they're going. So the help and support was fantastic. You basically, and it's true, you're really joining a big family. It's that's the truth of it.
And a good thing you mentioned there is you've come from basically, as you admitted before, complete novice, and now
paying someone to do the gardening.
Yeah, paying someone to do the gardening, and then now you're doing it yourself, and just having that support there for quoting and to come out with the jobs. And it's great. And we need to get that across to people. So if you are in an independent business, you obviously don't have that, but within gyms, that's a really potent part of the system is that training and support and that help. Yep. And from other franchisees proactively even reaching out to you when you need to welcome you and to say that sort of stuff. And
I've been out to jobs with franchise where they've called me out. We've had to go and quote landscape jobs. Some jobs going over 30K.
Wow.
Yeah, just massive jobs. And that's for someone else starting out. How do you quote it?
Yeah.
And even now I get there and we've got to work through together because it's too big a job to work out on your own. So you do get those curly ones from time to time, but that's. Obviously, that's why they're big jobs. Everything's big involved, in regards to them. So, yeah, they're help and support. Being able to go out there and help the guys out on the ground, it's great.
Now let's talk about making the for someone like a safety net regarding what we call the pay for work guarantee or the minimum income guarantee. We get asked that a lot as well. So, what's the safety net from someone who's gone from the traditional, let's say, 9 to 5 employment to then running a business? Is obviously a transition period.
Yep.
And there's a bit of uncertainty as well about financial position as well, especially if you've got a family. So maybe you want to talk about that minimum income guarantee or the pay for work guarantee.
Sure. So pay for work guarantee is basically an internal offer within gyms, I guess you will. And basically what it involves there is the gyms group or gyms mowing will actually guarantee that you're going to earn, in our regions anyway, $1,500 per week. And the way that's actually structured is you need to, that's actually structured over a month period. So if there's, you've only made $1,200 or whatever, they'll kick in that extra $300 or whatever it's going to be equivalent for that week. But you'll need to provide some free services just to make up for it. Normally those free services will actually lead on to regular work for you anyway. The other part about it is there's other criteria you need to meet as well. So it's got certain cut values as well. So if you have a cut value within our regions of $2,250 or above, then obviously you don't qualify for the pay for work guarantee. Or if you've had, don't quote me on it, maybe a couple hundred leads or something like that. There's a few different ones, but the strange thing about it is I've never had anyone had to claim it. They're just already earning too much money, which is great. So
that's important to point out what you just said then, Stuart, because we have Mike as well, who we mentioned before, does our training. I think he's been a franchisor for 15 years, whatever, and I think he's paid it once.
Has he? Yeah, okay.
Only once or twice. So it's quite funny. That's one of our most common questions is that, but no one. The reality is, no one really ever has to need it, and if they do need to do it, it's you're paying them to actually help them build their own business. And,
do you know, Joel, you're right. That's a great point, and it reminds me when I speak to people. I say, they've got this pay for work guarantee. It's $1,500. I go, what? Really? Because they might not be earning that now. Yeah, absolutely. But we've never paid it out. Well, I've never paid it out. Oh, so we should be earning more than that. Well, yeah, I've never paid it out. So,
Yeah, and it's quite a common thing, and we get it all the time, and people don't believe us, but it's true. It's very rarely paid, and it's there just in case for whatever reason.
Yeah.
However, it's very rarely paid, and as you said before, it's not just a free cash handout. It is just you are paid to do services or promote your business in your area, and we'll pay you to do that.
Correct.
If needed. However, you most likely will not need it. So another question we have here is: can someone expand beyond their territory? So they're limited to just being a one-man band, or can they have multiple trailers on the road? How big can someone make their business?
Yeah, definitely. So they can, within gyms, the franchisee can run the business as they want. Okay, we're giving them the brand, everything else, the logo, coming under a region territory. They can do whatever they want. They charge what they want. They work when they want, where they want. So if they want to go and work in Werribee, they can. If they want to go and work in Wangaratta, they can. If you want to go down the peninsula, you can. We're not going to stop you wherever you want to work. That's up to you. What I did, and there comes a time in a crossroads where, as a franchisee, you're going to say, well, I either need to sell a split or sell some of my clients, or I need to put on staff. Okay, so what I did is I put on staff and I put on another trailer. And if you put on 2 trailers or 3 trailers or 4 trailers, doesn't matter. You're only going to ever pay the one set of fees. The only way you'll pay double set of fees is if you pay 2 territories. Has there been people done it? There has. I don't quite understand the reason why.
There's no need for it,
unless they really wanted that area to grow or whatever. But what I did is I put another trailer on, had staff on. I had the company vehicle, obviously, to get around from the areas and go from there. The other option, of course, is guys are happy just doing their own thing, doing their mows, whatever, earning their money they're earning, and then they'll sell off a sale of clients. We've got guys who actually try and do that every 1 or 2 years just to get an extra between sort of maybe 10 or 20 grand made back just from selling clients. So in terms of can you go further in your area, you can work anywhere you want. That's up to you.
So let's talk about now what a split is. So you used that term before, but for any outside of gyms might not know what a split is. So can you explain that?
Yeah, so we just touched on it before. Basically, with a split, you can sell a split as part of your territory with clients. Okay, so you can actually sell part of your territory and you actually make some really good money doing that as well. Or you can sell off some of your clients as well, and that's also part of your split of your own clients. But that's a little bit separate to actually selling off part of your territory. So normally within gyms group, they'll pay 8 times the cut value or thereabouts, depending on the region. And we've got guys who will earn, as I said, between 10 and 20 grand, whatever it's going to be. It could be slightly over, don't know, on whatever the cut value is for their own sale of clients. So just recently we had a new guy buy in. I think he bought about 16 grand's worth of clients. So yeah.
So actually, let's talk about now the lifestyle. You touched on it before about some guys who just want to do the one man band and maybe work a couple of 3-4 days a week. So let's talk about the lifestyle aspect and the family time aspect. Do you find when people take over running their own business with mowing, they are able to drop the kids off. They do spend more time with their family. That's one of the main reasons for them doing it, or?
Absolutely. I touched on this earlier with a guy I spoke to this morning and with his son and mum. Rob, hi mate. He's been with us. He's coming up to a year, and he got into it just for the lifestyle. He's got a 2-year-old, and he doesn't work Mondays because that's his day to stay at home, be with the kid, that sort of stuff. He was doing the commute to the city all the time, working in corporate, in IT, I think he was, and for him now to be able to actually have the lifestyle where he can choose his hours, be home around the kids, talking to him earlier about being able to, go and do the school drop-offs when, Santi gets older, that sort of stuff. It's absolutely fantastic. So, it's one of the benefits of it. I still do the kids drop-off because I love it. It's just something that you enjoy doing. So the lifestyle is a very big thing. You can structure your day around it. You can structure when you want to work, where you want to work. I know a lot of guys I deal with, they love an early knock off on Friday. So that's just part of the business. Yeah.
So let's now touch on about fees themselves. So there's a big misconception that we see online a lot, that it's always, don't make Jim rich, he takes all your turnover, blah, 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 high percentage of turnover on these silly things. So maybe can we address the actual fees themselves?
Do you know, I love it when I hear that. I love it when people say Jim takes a percentage. There's a lot of franchises out there that actually take a percentage of your income. So whatever you earn, they're going to take part of that income. It could be whatever percent. Within gyms, it's a standard set fee. Okay, and that set fee is just set. So when you join, you'll have a contract. The contract now goes for 20 years, I think.
I think it's a bit
new ones
now.
are 20 years. It used to be 10 years.
Yeah.
And that will be your fees for the 20 years, obviously with any
CPI
increases, and sort of go from there. But once you're, that's it. So if you've got 2 or 3, 4 trailers on, you only pay the one set of fees. That's it, regardless. Whereas you can go and earn whatever, 100, 200, 300K, you're going to be just paying the same set of fees each month. And I think that's probably the reason why the gyms Mowing, or Jim's Group, is the biggest brand in the Southern Hemisphere in terms of franchising. It's the fairest. It's set up for the franchisees. And, as much as Jim doesn't like to hear it that we're all going to make him rich, but it's set up fairly for the franchisees. So they're only going to pay the one set of fees each month.
And let's talk. And what's included in the fee? There's a marketing fee, obviously, that the franchisor uses to generate work. Yep. There's the call center fee that's included in as well. And there's a national branding fund fee.
Warranty. Yep.
There's a warranty fee as well, which is helpful for the gym's work guarantee, which is very important for everyone. And obviously, there's the franchise fee itself, and it's quite a. And when you said about splits before, if a guy's doing a split one every 2 years,
there's also the technology fees as well. So you've got your emails and
correct,
yeah.
But in essence, if you do splits, for example, as a mowing franchisor, you essentially never really pay fees.
Yes,
because you just split every time you sell a split, it offsets it.
Yeah.
And the fee itself, I don't know what the average franchisee makes off the top of my head, but I think Jim always says the figure that your franchise fee for the year works out to be 7%, 8% roughly.
Okay.
Off the average franchisee turnover is the figure he's quoting.
Yeah.
So it's a very small percentage compared to most others.
The only thing that's going to change with your monthly fees each month is your leads. So the amount of leads you take. So whatever leads you take is basically you pay for. But what Jim does and what the Jim's Group does is it's very fair. Is you actually only pay for 85% of your leads. So they allows for 15% for just ones that may not convert or just can't get hold of, whatever the reason is, which is very fair. They don't have to do it, but they do. That's the only reason. That's the only thing that's going to change. The problem we get, especially within gyms, we've got a lot of guys who have been in the business sort of 4, 5, 6 years going on, and these guys who are just happy doing their own thing on their own, one-man band, as you said, which is great, but they don't need to take any extra work. So their fees remain the same, whereas then we need more people to come in because we've got all this extra work coming in, and no one to mop it up. So. So it's a tricky one.
But the lead fee itself as well, I want to get it across because we always see this online, is the lead fee is not there to really make money. It's Jim put it in place because people when you're paying money for that lead,
They'll cherry pick.
they'll cherry pick as well. But you're going to call that person, you're going to try and do your darndest to win it if you know you're paying for it every time. And it gives the customer the best experience as well and helps you build your business. Whereas if you didn't have a lead fee, as you said before, could be cherry picked and the customers could be let down or all that sort of stuff. So it's not a detrimental thing. It's there to help you build your business and better for the franchisee, better for the customer as well.
And just on that cherry picking thing, you know, we get a lot of clients, or a lot of when they start up, say they just want the regular work. And I understand that as a mowing guy, that's fine. That's your bread and butter. But our when you first start off, our one-off jobs, you'll normally convert them at about 1 in 5, and our good operators be converting about 1 in 3, 1 in 4. The problem we get, and I know this for a fact through Beck at the call centre, is we get so many people who ring the call centre and they'll say, and that call centre also online, they have to qualify them. Is this a one-off service or is this a regular service? And I'll say, oh, look, it might be a regular, but we just want to test it out first. Hey, that's fine. Just dipping their toes in the water. So they've got to put that through as a one-off. Now, of course, naturally, you go and do a good job, you're going to get them through anyway. So, and most of the one-offs, unless it's a garden clean-up, like as in they're moving house or it's a vacate clean or something, they'll always come back.
And you never know who that person is as well. So that probably you could be going there for the once off. You don't know. They could own 10 commercial properties. They could own this. Now, I know talking to one of your franchisees, Dan, and who doesn't turn any leads off. And all the one-off jobs he's gone to and turned that in, they've owned all these factories down his way or whatever. The amount of money he would have made over the years from that is quite incredible.
Very good franchisee. I just missed his call before. Sorry, Dan.
But it's a very good point what you said about that. About the whole once-off. I only wanted to do regulars. Is that once-off client? You just never know who it is, what they own, whatever it is, and how you can help them out. So let's talk about now the equipment itself. So obviously there's a lot of developments with the equipment, and there's a trailer, there's obviously all the gear itself. So can people buy the equipment with the franchise, or how does it all work?
They can. It's basically... with Jim's group, with Jim's Mowing, and what I normally say to our guys is you can use your own equipment. Ergonomically, you might find some of the guys might find steel works well from Shindauer, obviously the newer guys on the battery operated side of things, Ego, which are coming very strong now in the market. So they can start with whatever. You're not tied down to a certain brand or a model or anything like that. It's up to you what you want to use. I'm a big believer of, even if you've got equipment at home that is going to stand up to some commercial gear, probably worthwhile starting with that. Keep your initial investment down. Once you've actually reached a certain level, I'm a big one for goal setting. So once they've reached a certain level in their business, then reinvest back in the business. Set yourself those little goals. But in terms of equipment, if some guys will include as part of the franchise fees, or if you buy an existing business, they might be moving on. I've got a guy who's selling a business. He's moving to Spain, so he doesn't need any equipment. He wants it all gone with it. So sometimes it will be, other times, it won't be. And there's other options as well. One of the big things we have here is an ex-franchisee named Glenn Camilleri. He actually used to own the whole of Ringwood, which would be worth serious bucks now. I think the whole Ringwood might have 5 or 6 franchisees there. And he runs a company called Easy Rental. It's a great option where guys can actually rent to own equipment. They might start off with 4 or 5 items. You're talking about mower, blower, whippersnipper, multi-tool, and I don't know, maybe a chainsaw or whatever it is, and they might be able to pay it off at $40-50 a week. Makes it really attractive for guys that are maybe a little bit cash poor when they come in. Also, it's a great option for when franchisees want to update. For me personally, I hate having to pay off, $2 or $3 grand in one hit. It hurts. But if you can go and say you need to update your ride on or whatever and pay it off over, 4 or 5 years at $40 or $50 a week, it's quite favourable. So there are certain ways that we can actually help out within the group, and again, that's probably another benefit we have to being within Jim's Mowing, that we've got these other avenues.
So what's probably a message for someone who might be thinking about or listening to this? What advice would you have for them thinking about the option?
Yeah, I'd definitely go and speak to your local franchisor, and I'd probably welcome you to go out and spend a day on the tools just to make sure you enjoy it, and go from there. Also, go and speak, and I tell all our other guys, Joel, go and speak to the other franchisees. Within the Jim's group, the one thing I love is we've got nothing to hide. So go and speak to them, find out a bit about it, see what they've got to say, because they're the ones on the ground. Ask all the questions, come down to the training if you want to see it, and go from there. But yeah, just go and ask the questions, ask the guys, and speak to your franchisor and go from there.
And so what's the best way for someone to inquire? What's the number? What's the website? Or
131546 or jimsmowing.com.au.
And so can anyone watching this, and if they're in your region, they'll get to meet you in person. They can probably ask you. But what do you like to get up to? I know for anyone who's watching, you're a big keen marathon runner, and you're quite into your running. So what do you get up to? What are your hobbies? Interests?
Yeah, so you're right, Joel. I do a bit of running. That's my release. I enjoy that. I'm training for a 100-kilometre ultramarathon this year and New York Marathon. And as you know, I'm an avid soccer supporter of the Socceroos, like yourself. So I'm big into the soccer and sports, that sort of thing, and love my golf and fishing. And I'm a big one for my family. I've got 3 young daughters, which I love. So probably just like an ordinary other guy out there. Yeah.
And even though I know you work really, really hard and you do long hours, but you do have the time though. For example, if you wanted to do a fishing trip, or if you want to improve your golf game, we do have franchisees who might do the 4-day work week to play that golf game on the Friday or go on a fishing trip with the boys or whatever they want to do. So. That's something you've been able to do.
Absolutely, yeah. So just recently, I just went up to Malakuta to try and get a marlin for my first time, which was unsuccessful, but that's okay. But you're right. Obviously that's part of running your own business. You can pick and choose when you want to work or when you can take holidays. You don't have to put in time off with your boss. So certainly has its advantages. Yeah.
Okay, so thanks for all that information, Stu. We thought it'd be a bit different to do an info pack because we always get asked for info packs and say, send me information. Well, why not watch and why not hear the information as well? And we've gone into depth about most of the stuff that would be covered online, all the questions we get. So if you are thinking about it, guys, 131546 via jimsmowing.com.au or even via jims.net if you're interested in any of the franchises. So thanks for that, Stuart. Really appreciate your time today.
Thanks, guys.
Ta.